Now, instead of drawing just one rectangle, we're going to draw multiple. So in order to run this code, we'll take the function and put it into our draw function. Okay, so now we have this run framework and we have the draw function with drawing multiple rectangles. So let's see what it does. So here is what we outputted. So as you can see, first of all, in the last video we drew one rectangle, and to do that we called canvas.createRectangle once. Now we're calling it multiple times, and so each time we call it, it'll draw a rectangle to those specifications. So here, notice so the first rectangle we draw is a yellow rectangle. Then we draw an orange one, a green one, and a purple one. Now notice how the purple one is on top, the green one is next, then comes the orange one, and finally the yellow one's on the bottom. The reason that this is the case is because tkinter basically takes our draw commands and just does them in order. So first we said draw a yellow one, so it drew the yellow one. Then we said draw an orange one, so it just drew the orange one on top of anything else that was under it. So there's some overlap between the yellow and the orange, but the orange goes on top because it was drawn second. So basically the thing which was drawn the last is going to be on top. So that's why the purple rectangle, which is on top of all the other ones, is on top, because it was the last thing drawn. Now the next thing to note is the coordinates. So the yellow rectangle is 0, 0, 150, 150, so we saw that before. It's this right here. Then we say the orange one is 150, then 250, 100. So what this means is that the x1, y1 is 150. So the starting point is 100 over, and then 50 down, which is right here. So that's where the starting point is. Then the ending point is 250 over, so all the way over, and then 100 down. So let's say that I wanted to calculate the actual length of this rectangle. Well, in order to do that, I would basically just have to do, so I have x1 and x2, right? So in the x direction, I end at 250 and I start at 100. So 250 minus 100 is equal to 150. That's the length of the rectangle, 150. In the y direction, I end at 100 and start at 50. So that's equal to 50. So it's 150 by 50 rectangle. And as we can see, it's 150 long and 50 down. Now, we also do this argument called width equals 5. So width is another setting that you can give to the rectangle, which essentially says how thick you want the border to be. So notice on this yellow rectangle, there's a thin black line. That's because the width is defaulted to 1. However, for this rectangle, we say that the width is 5, and notice how it has a very thick outline. So that's one thing that you can do to customize the rectangles. Now the green one has a fill of green. It has a width of 3, so you see this outline is a little bit thinner than the width of 5. However, it says outline equals red. So that's another setting you can do, where essentially you tell it what the color of the border is. So here we have a border of width 3 and with a color of red. And then of course a fill of green. And then finally, but lastly, we have this purple rectangle. So for this one, notice how it doesn't have an outline at all, not even a thin one like the yellow one. That's because we said that width equals 0. So it's strictly just the purple color itself. You can go through, and I would advise you to go through and figure out the sizes of these rectangles and also draw them out by hand, showing where you would expect them to be on the canvas, just to make sure that you understand exactly how tkinter draws things.